Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It kind of dawned on me that I should probably take the time to just share a little bit about my true crime story. Maybe just share a little bit with you guys about what happened to our family on October 17th, 2021. Sometimes I don't even know where to begin to start a story like this. It's like something off of an awful, awful horror reality show. I don't even know if a script could be written any better than this. But I just wanted to share with you my story. Most mornings I wake up feeling like I just want to scream to the world, that I was a mom of 5 children. 5 beautiful, beautiful, beautiful children. 5. And on October 17th, at 1 o'clock in the morning, our oldest son committed murder. He stabbed our 2 youngest children to death. My Noah, my Sophia. He stabbed my husband, his father, in his neck. It was an awful night. It's pretty awful to even have to try to relive it. Most of the time I gotta say it super fast just to get through it. It sounds so surreal to me 4 years later to even say those words out loud. My son committed murder. And not just any old murder. He murdered our 2 children, his little brother, his little sister. October 16th was a normal day for the most part, just like all the other good days, overall life, And with our children that last day, we even went out fall leave looking, driving up through the mountains, in Colorado where I live. It's beautiful, by the way. Here's a shot of where I'm at. Only takes a 5-minute car ride, 10 minutes, depending on the traffic, to be able to come to a view like this. Just kind of get your bearings together sometimes. I feel really close to the Lord here. Heaven definitely feels close here. Malik, our oldest son, was dealing with some mental illness. And mental illness, like all it's hard, you can't, it's hard. You have counselors, therapists, medications, doctors, so on and so forth. But, at the end of the day, if a person doesn't really want the help or really say what's going on, well, the unthinkable happens. I feel like, Oh. And Malik was dealing with some homicide ideation thoughts. He literally saw his counselor a week before he committed murder, but he had decided this was what he was going to do. He had purchased a knife months ago, had hidden it, and had made this plan. The night before, we all played football together as a family outside, all 5 of the kids and Dad, while I'm watering the flowers, picking on the flowers like I always do. We eat dinner together at the table for the majority of the time. Our family really, we were no different than your family, than any other family. I'm the oldest of 5 myself. So, I have younger siblings, a younger brother, nieces, nephews, and 5 children I had. And so much of the day, my days just feel empty. They just feel lost without Noah and Sophia. I even grieve Malik. I grieve the loss of his life and what it could have been. Malik was sentenced to 96 years in prison. That's a long time, friends. That's a long time. So I come out here and I think sometimes, and I just really wonder a lot of things. I have so many questions. And definitely questioning God, and lots of questions with God is one of them. I wonder so much. But since I wonder, and I think a lot of questions, I think about, well, maybe you guys are too. And there's other people, there's another mother out there that feels the way I do too, that just feels empty and hollow inside without her children, trying to navigate the world after burying your 2 youngest children. We have 2 teenagers still at home. One just graduated high school, the other's a junior in high school, a boy and a girl. And they really definitely help keep me grounded, and it's a beautiful focus to just focus in on those 2 at times, and my husband and our household. And my mother lived with us too. My mother lived with me actually when this horrific trauma occurred. My mother was part of that awful night. She was there with me, and then she passed away December of 2020. She moved in with us due to heart failure. She was only 65 years old. So I lost my best friend last year. My best friend. And it just feels real difficult to navigate. This is a true story, friends. It's a true story. This isn't something I'm making up. This really happened to our family. And I'm very new to the camera, apparently. And, I'm not new to speaking. I'm not new to teaching. I used to teach small children a lot. Did a lot of teaching in our church. I love kids. I just always wanted to be a mommy. I just wanted to be a mom. I just love being a mom. And I miss it. I miss being called mommy. I really do. And I just feel like I have so much inside of me that I just want to get out and just talk and share. And now I feel like I am finally ready to share my story. And I feel really led by the Lord to do so. I really do. I have been learning so many different faces of grief, come in many different shapes and sizes and faces, and horror and trauma. And just feel like sharing, and then hearing from others too. Hearing your story. Hearing what you have to say. My husband survived that attack, being stabbed in the neck, right there in the main part of his neck. And he is the one fighting off our oldest son, screaming. That's what woke me up, was to those screams. And what woke my husband up was our youngest daughter screaming for her brother to quit stabbing her. It's just an awful thing to experience, to let alone to even try to retell it to you. My husband is our hero. He saved the rest of our lives that night. And it's difficult. This whole thing is difficult, and that's just an understatement. But my mother from day one, she introduced me to Jesus. She introduced me to this man, Jesus, who died for me, who died for you, who's my living, risen Savior. And so when I had to bury my 2 children and I didn't know anything else to do, I just hung on to the Lord, literally, figuratively. I remember right before we buried them, actually, there's like that week process that you have to wait a little bit, and you're doing all that stuff. I remember we were at my husband's grandmother's house, because of course you can't go back to the house where your children are murdered at, and crime scene tape, not to mention that kind of stuff. So I remember being out on her patio, and I remember and it was about 3 a.m, and I just remember feeling completely done. Like I didn't even understand how I was supposed to breathe, go put clothes on. This whole concept was foreign to me. Just 4 days ago, I was in my own home, laying out clothes for my children to go to school the next day, doing spelling words, homework, chores, life, and then murder. And I just remember there on the porch, and I remember saying to the Lord, I don't know anything else, Lord, but you. And all I know is I just felt something in my spirit that said, don't let go. Don't let go of Jesus. Don't let go of what you know of the Lord, what you have learned your whole life of the Lord. That everything that this is preparation excuse me. It's preparation for this. You know, we all have some serious trials and tribulations in our lives, and we always wonder, why did this one come into my life? Why? And the word promises one day we'll understand. And sometimes it's on earth, sometimes it's not. But I feel like the trials and the adversity that was in my marriage, that was hardcore, that pretty much almost ripped my marriage apart, that the reconciliation that occurred between my husband and I, the trials and adversities that my own siblings have gone through, it was preparation for this. Because now my whole world is flipped upside down. And my whole world, you know, I used to be able to say who I was. My name's Melissa Murphy. Yes, you know, yep, I'm a mother of 5, a wife, you know, a teacher, you know, a Jesus follower, you know, and had plans for the day and would be excited for the days. And even mostly was just hanging out at home with my kids, you know, doing stuff at home. That was great. And now I feel like my whole identity has been taken away from me. Like, what is my identity? I'm still a mother, but I'm not a mommy. Teenagers don't call you mommy. Teenagers don't need to be tucked into bed or books read to them or their shoes tied or their food cut up. Teenagers don't long to go with you to the grocery store. Teenagers half the time don't think too highly of us for a while. But so yes, my son is in prison for 96 years for murdering his 2 siblings. And I live with deep sorrow, deep regret, and a lot of shame, friends. I just wanted to share this with you, and without a whole lot of too much of these details. And I know sometimes it can be hard to watch somebody else's pain, somebody else's sorrow, somebody else's grief. It makes us so uncomfortable. I recognize that, and I respect that. But I just hope that we can still stick this out together, even as uncomfortable as we are. I hope you choose to still watch my channels and be blessed by them. I hope you choose to share them with anyone that you know that might be grieving or mourning. And I have so much to say that I can't do it all in one video, and I'm going to do it little bits and things at a time. I'm going to probably make 2 or 3 right now and cut them up. And just kind of go from there, friends. Grow into this, learn with this. We'll grow together. I'll get to meet. What I'm most excited about is all the new people I'm going to meet, the new stories I get to hear through this channel, be able to hear your story. Because you know what? Our lives are a story. Joy and sorrow, yes, can be intertwined together. And so now this is my life. This is my life navigating the waters of deep sorrow. I lost my father literally 3 months after my mother. In 4 years, buried 2 children, a father and a mother, and I feel orphaned. I mean, I'm sure we could do a channel just on that alone, you know? So it's just like all over the place. And then the navigation of day-to-day finances and paying bills, and you got to get up and go to work because you're not made of money and you don't have savings and all that stuff. But, well, thanks for joining me today, guys. Thanks for listening to my story. Thank you for praying for us, for you believers out there. And I'm praying for you. I am. I'm praying for every viewer, because I know we all have grief and loss to some degree. You know, some of us grieve the living, those of us that are still alive, but we don't have relationships with those people anymore, or we're unable to see them anymore due to maybe nursing home, jail, all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to be talking about that one of these days too. So until next time, be well.